Hi guys, I'm very excited to welcome you to the very first episode of Buyfresh Bites. My name is George East and today I'm going to be making a beautiful stuffed beef fillet. Let's get started. Today we're going to be working with this beautiful beef fillet, which is such a great cut and so versatile. It's incredibly tender, and with this beautiful piece of marbling on the side, we're going to get great flavor. To begin, I'm going to make the stuffing. So we want to beat 1 egg. So I'm going to be making a beautiful, light, fragrant stuffing for the beef fillet that doesn't detract from the great flavor of the meat. First, we're going to go in with some breadcrumbs that I made earlier. It's actually just about 1/4 of a stale baguette that I blitzed up in a food processor with some rosemary and some salt and pepper, just to up the flavor a bit. So go in with roughly 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. Next up, I shelled and roughly chopped some pistachio nuts, roughly about 40 to 50 grams. So these can go in to the stuffing. Next up, I want to add some fresh garlic and fresh herbs. So we'll go in with 2 cloves of garlic, nice chubby pieces. Give them a peel, and then just a rough chop. A rough chop is absolutely fine for the garlic. Next up, let's go in with some herbs. Here I've got a selection of rosemary, thyme, and oregano, which I think will work perfectly with beef. And all you're going to want to do is just strip the leaves from the woody stalks. You can go in with a generous sort of 2 tablespoons amount of chopped herbs. So just go in with a really rough chop for the herbs. Once we've got the herbs, add them into our breadcrumbs and pistachio. I'm going to jump in with a quick season of salt and pepper, just ground sea salt, and freshly ground black pepper. Can be quite generous with the pepper. And finally, I'm going to add in that egg that we beat earlier, about half of it, and combine. If you find that your stuffing is a little bit too stiff, simply add a bit more egg. But the goal here is to make a nice pliable stuffing that we can use in the fillet. I'm going to go in with the whole egg. There we go. The best way to go about stuffing a fillet, or in my opinion the easiest way, is to simply make an incision along the side. For that I'm going to use a filleting knife so it's extra sharp. And open it up like a pocket. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to spoon the stuffing into this pocket that I've made, making sure to really pack it in. Take care to not overstuff the fillet. Otherwise, everything's going to sort of fall out and not be very nice to look at. Now comes the tricky part. We're going to tie this up and get it ready for roasting. So take a decent quality kitchen twine, and we are going to snip off lengths that allow me to close up the pocket that I've made. So I've got 4 lengths of kitchen twine, and with this I'm going to start tying up the fillet. So just carefully slide them beneath the beef. And now working very carefully, we're going to close up the fillet as tightly as we can. Once you've got everything nice and tightly tied up, just simply snip off the edges of your twine so they don't get in the way. And we have a beautiful stuffed fillet ready for browning. Now I've got the beef fillet all nicely trussed up, and it's time to brown it before I get it into the oven. So I'm going to add just a little drizzle of olive oil over the top. So rather season your meat with olive oil instead of your pan before you brown it. And just rub the olive oil, coating the fillet nicely. I've browned the fillet on all sides. Now I'm going to transfer it into a roasting dish along with a healthy glug of red wine. There we go. Now this goes into a preheated 200 degrees Celsius oven for 15 minutes, and be sure to let your meat rest for about 10 to 15 minutes after it's finished cooking. We'll see this guy in a bit. Our beautiful beef fillet has been resting nicely for the past 10 minutes. Now I'm going to go ahead and snip off that string, keeping it together. Carefully roll the fillet onto its side, just to get off the last of the string without losing any of the stuffing. For carving, it's going to be easiest to transfer the fillet to a board. Working lengthways, use your sharpest knife to slice the fillet into medallions. You can keep these fairly thick because you don't want to lose the shape of the meat. That is a beautiful medium rare. To plate it up, I've got some nice tender salad leaves, some lamb's lettuce, and some herbs, which I'm just going to scatter around my serving dish. And then I'm simply, or sometimes not so simply, going to layer the meat up. Garnish the fillet with a little bit of salt and a drizzle of olive oil, and serve with your favorite potato dish and steamed greens. And this is my recipe for beef fillet stuffed with pistachio and breadcrumbs. Thanks so much for joining the first episode of Buyfresh Bites today. I hope to see you again soon. Happy eating.